Alright, so Dillian White released a video the other day of himself on the heavy bag. I'm just looking at it here on X, and he gave an interview with Cook and Cassius a couple of weeks ago. And in that interview he gave with Cook and Cassius, it was over Zoom, I think, and I'm just looking at him here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Not in terms of technique or anything like that, but the shape he's in. He looks in phenomenal shape. You could see it in the interview he gave with Cook and Cassius. In the face, he really kind of slimmed down. But, that's just the face. Some people, if they're, on a bit of a diet or something, they can lose weight from their face before it goes from other places. But when I look at him in this clip here, his legs look massive. And you can see a lot more definition in his legs. He is wearing a fell protector, so, your stomach's not fully visible. And, of course, he is wearing black. Once you wear them, black, it does tend to kind of, if you're carrying a little bit of timber, it's not really going to show as much on that. But even still, my guy looks in good shape. He looks in really good shape. He's not really going in on the bag or anything like that. So, you're looking at him hitting the bag. I'll put a clip of the video in this video as well, maybe while I talk over it. He's not really giving away much. And Dillian White's never really been one of those guys to give away much in those little public workouts and those little clip sessions. Anyway, he's always been someone who, if you ever see him at a public workout, he just kind of goes through the motions, does what he needs to do. Maybe he has a skip, a little bit of shadow boxing. He doesn't tend to give that much away. He looks in such good shape there, though. Now, again, you have to point out that a guy being in shape, that's not going to transition into him winning the fight, or it's not going to translate to him winning the fight, because Anthony Joshua is always in good shape. He got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. People were memeing him. They were memeing Andy Ruiz off that guy, off the kid from the movie Up, as Andy Ruiz, the little short fat kid. So, if it was a body beautiful competition, Anthony Joshua would be undefeated. He would. He'd be legit undefeated if it was a body beautiful competition. It's not. Dillian White, though, to give himself the best chance of winning in this fight against Moses Itauma, he needs to be in shape. But I'll tell you why he needs to be in shape, for a variety of reasons. One, he's as slow as molasses, or certainly he was in his last two fights. He looked awful. He looked like he was plodding all over the ring. He looked like he was fighting in slow motion. It really did. Now, he was heavier in those fights. He might not be that much lighter, because he obviously has a lot of muscle mass on there. We all know muscle weighs more than fat. But he just looked so untrained, sluggish, everything in those last two fights. Being in better shape, maybe maybe significantly lighter, we don't know until we'll know this day next week when they do the weigh-ins. But Dillian White being in better shape, it means that he's going to be a bit more mobile. It probably means that even if he does get hurt, which I expect he'll probably get hurt at some point in the Itauma fight, it gives you a better chance of recovery. It does. You'll often find that with fighters. If they're in good shape, if they're really good. A prime example would be, maybe this is a poor example because he was juiced up, but when Lucas Browne fought Ruslan Chagayev, he was in really good shape in that fight. Chagayev wasn't, right? So when Browne got dropped heavily in round number 6, I think it was, he was able to recover. And he had the establishment against him in that fight, really. I mean, that was a longer round. But he was able to recover quite well. When Chagayev got hurt, I think it was round 10, if you ever seen Ruslan Chagayev, fat cruiserweight, that's what he was, about 50 pound overweight. Couldn't recover, not in good shape, no stamina, there you go. Out of it, taken out. Dillian White, giving himself a better chance of recovering, better shape, there you go. It is making me wonder. I was quite dismissive of this fight. Not dismissive of it, no, that's probably the wrong word. I wasn't dismissive of the fight necessarily, but I was definitely dismissive of Dillian White's chances. I'll be the first to admit that. Very much dismissive of it. Seeing the shape he's in, hearing him speak in interviews, seeing how focused he appears to be, I think there is a good chance for him in this fight. Not necessarily, I'm not going to outright pick him, full disclosure, right? But we will do some film studies over the weekend and kind of go in a little bit more depth in it. But I'm not going to be picking him, full disclosure. But I think he'll do well enough in this fight. And I think given the fact his back's against the wall, he's really being brought in as the opponent. That's what he's being brought in as the opponent. He's not being brought in as the house fighter. Dillian White is used to being the A side. He's used to being the pay-per-view guy, right? He's used to being the guy headlining and being the guy you expect to win, right? He's going in there definitely as the opponent, being thought of as the old guard, gonna go and say stick a fork in him, he's done, stuff like that. And he's probably going into this camp for the first time in God knows how long, probably since the Fury fight, going, you think I'm done? I'll show you. And I said it to Ade when we did Ade and G-Man about this fight. Actually, you haven't seen that video yet. It's probably going to come up over the next few days. I used the words that Moses Itauma may very well be faster than Dillian White in there, but Dillian White, he has more dog than anyone Itauma, maybe anyone Itauma will ever fight. Even if he goes on to have a 10-year pro career, he'll struggle to find anyone with as much dog and resiliency as Dillian White has. And that could be a shock to a guy 20 years old, didn't have an extensive amateur background, very talented, but you could be the most talented fighter in the world if someone just goes and just outmans you. You know the saying, man against boy? Who had a better career, Daniel Dubois or Joe Joyce? But when they fought, it was man against boy in there. Don't underestimate that. Do not underestimate that. Dillian White is in really good shape here. He looks like he's packed on some more muscle. Dillian White, when he's got a little bit of muscle mass, when he's got that little bit of definition, he's more mobile, he can move around the ring, and he still has the strength to be able to ragdoll you. And I think that someone like Itauma's probably never had to really worry about that because he's always had the talent to be able to, just box, move, punch, everything. Dillian White is going to be in there and he is going to be trying to bully this kid. And I don't know, an in-shape Dillian White, not fast, but fresh early on, it's going to be interesting. So him coming in shape, it's making me more intrigued about this fight. If we'd seen Dillian White training where, he always looks like he's just holding back in training. You can see he's doing that here. But if we'd seen a Dillian White where you could see, oh yeah, he's still fleshy in the face, his legs don't have much, you'd be saying, okay, we know what's going to happen here. Itauma's going to go in, he's going to land a combination, he's going to take him out, and that's going to be the end of it. It's going to be all she wrote. I don't see that in this fight. Not with this version of Dillian White we're seeing now. He's not going to be as good as the version who fought Chisora all those years ago. But he's learned a few things. And again, him being in shape has me wondering. I ain't gonna lie, it has me wondering. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe. We're not a million miles off 26k, lads. We're getting there. We're less than 50 away. Come on, you gotta hit that subscribe and like button. I want to get to 26k. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be doing over the weekend some film studies of this upcoming fight, I should be saying, as we look forward to previewing everything next week. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And people, until next time, peace.